Hey everyone, welcome to a bit of our late start today. So we stayed at the Hostel of Maine last night, which was very nice, very rustic, very clean, comfortable. A really nice stay. The only problem really was that we were hoping that maybe we could use it as a base to slack pack over the Bigelows, but the $95 a carload each way price tag was a little steep. Like a lot of other places just charge like a per person amount, and then like that gets you the shuttle out in the morning, you walk back to the hostel, and then the shuttle back out to the next day to continue. I think like the hiker's welcome was like $30 or something per person for both shuttles to send you out to do Moosalok. But this place is like $95 per carload, and they were like, oh well, if you split that with other people it would be less. And it's like, yeah, but we're relying on other people then to get in those cars and do it as well, otherwise we're looking at like $190 just the two of us. If it was a bit of a risk, so we didn't bother. So we took the sort of later 9:30 shuttle option to give us time to just relax in the morning, have a shower, pack our bags at a more leisurely pace. Obviously, if you get like a 6:30 or 7 a.m. shuttle or something, your bags all got to be packed the day before, and that's more time you don't have in the evening to relax. So yeah, a bit of a later start today, but hoping to do about 15 miles over the Bigelows. So the Bigelows are actually our last 4,000 foot peaks. At least I believe they are, looking at the terrain map anyway, unless I'm mistaken. But the last 4,000 foot peaks we have until to Katahdin, which is like 5.5 or something. But after that, there's a few more mountains that are maybe 3,000 feet or 2,000, but there's no like massive ranges to get over anymore. So I think Saddleback was also over 4,000, but had like some more tricky ascents and descents. This one should be still, I think there's still some challenges, but it should be a little more straightforward, and then hopefully a bit more cruisy from there on. So yeah, let's get going, and hopefully the weather might clear up, I don't know, but as this is kind of on a really clear day, there's a lot of people's first time seeing Katahdin way off in the distance. Obviously it's still like 180 odd miles away, but trail miles, that is. As the crow flies it's less, but on a clear day you can see them from the top of the Bigelows. So I think it's quite foggy at the moment up there, so I don't think we'll see it today, but you never know. Anyway, let's get going. Alright, I don't know if you can hear me, but We're just on top of Avery Peak in the Bigelows, which is the last 4,000 foot peak before we get to Katahdin. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Hi. Oh. But yeah, so it's named after Myron Avery, who is sort of the architect of the Appalachian Trail. So it's kind of partly, he's obviously partly responsible for it, along with Benton McKay, whose idea it was in the first place. So along with those two, the original Civilian Conservation Corps and Earl Schaefer, the first person to through hike it or report a through hike. Thank you very much for putting this together and starting the journey we're all on. And it looks like my beard is freezing up, so let's get off this mountain. I'm sure there's supposed to be normally incredible views, but as you can see, not today, but that's fine. Last time over 4,000 feet until we get to Katahdin. All right, let's go. Hello, come to you from the deep dark of a forest in the middle of Maine somewhere. So we didn't quite make it to the shelter. We've found a little stealth spot. Korak is providing lighting, because if you turn it off, this is how dark it is. It's like, yep, this is basically what we're camping in, and my tent is back there somewhere. So yeah, it's could be a little spooky evening, because it's, I tried to film it, but you can't really see it. It's like super hazy and like kind of misty and foggy and all other such words that make it feel quite foreboding. But yeah, it's we've made it about 10-11ish miles today, so not the full 15 we hoped for, but at least we found somewhere to set up our tent. And we're hoping to push some big miles tomorrow. Now that we're over the Bigelows, or most of them, we've still got a few miles left in the morning, but once we've done that, it should level out. So we're hoping to try and string together some 20-mile days on the flatter terrain, and hopefully catch up with Cutie, who we haven't seen since we fell behind in the Whites. So he's at Shaw's Hostel, which is about 110 miles from, it's about 60 miles from here and 110 or so from Katahdin. But he's been like pushing forward and going pretty fast, so he's now like says he's going to take like 4 or 5 days off. So through virtue of taking 4 or 5 days off, we stand a chance of potentially catching him. So we're going to try and string together some big days and see if we can catch up with him, which would be cool. But yeah, right, we're going to go get set up for bed, and hopefully the some of the spooky noises we hear don't come and get us in the night. So if the video ends here, we got, I guess. But anyway, right, good night. I'll see you in the morning, hopefully. Hi, good morning. I'm very damp, very wet Sunday morning. So we've been going about, I don't know, how long are we going? About an hour? A little over. And it's basically been raining all morning, so we're just like rain gear on, but it's all been climbing, so I'm just sweating inside my raincoat anyway, so I'm just as wet as if I'd not been wearing it. But as a good tip for the future, if you're thinking, like, trying to panic over which raincoat to buy, like which one, this one, do you want one that's breathable, do you want one that's waterproof, fully waterproof, impermeable, whatever, the sooner you accept that a raincoat is there to just keep you warm and not dry, the easier it'll be. Because I don't know about you, but I'm just like, every time it rains and I put my raincoat on, I'm just soaking wet anyway from sweat.
I'm not that sweaty, but everybody else has just said it's useless.
Yeah.
So many people have ditched their raincoats.
Yeah, or just gone to buy like the flimsiest poncho, yeah. Because it's just, you just need it to keep the cold rain off you, but you're just going to sweat inside it anyway. And breathable raincoats are a scam, it seems. Like it just doesn't work. So, top tip. Anyway, it stopped raining just long enough for me to try and film something to tell you what we're doing. So we're hoping to go about 22 miles today to another namesake, the Pierce Pond Lean-To. So we went up Pierce Mountain in the Whites, and now we're going to stay at Pierce Pond, hopefully. If we get there today, then we'll probably book Shaw's hiker hostel in Monson for 2 days after that to have our last zero, which will be fun because it's 110 miles from Katahdin, and that'll be our last zero. And our first zero was in Franklin in Tennessee, which was about 110 miles from the start of the trail, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, a little bit more climby stuff, and then we should be down to the nice flat bits, hopefully. So, oh, it's starting again. Oh, it's starting again. All right, we'll see you in a bit. Hey, good morning everyone, and beautiful green mossy trail this morning. Maine really does seem to have the best of all the versions of the green tunnel on trail, where you're just walking through constant forest and trees. Maine does seem to have the prettiest version of that. So today, yesterday, so we managed to do whatever it was, 21, 22 miles. But we got in well after dark. I had to walk in with our headlamps on, so trying to find a tent spot in the dark. It was pretty packed shelter, so like we had to find a spot in the dark, which was fun. But yeah, it was we didn't end up seeing any actual any of the real pond, the Pierce Pond last night, obviously with it being too dark, and we were in a bit of a rush this morning to get out, so we haven't really taken a good look at it. But this morning, so we're doing, I think, about 18 or 19 today, and after the first few miles that we're doing now, we should get to the Kennebec River, which is a dangerous river crossing. So dangerous, in fact, they've put in a shuttle service, which it comes in the form of one man and his canoe. And they've even painted a blaze on the bottom of the canoe to denote that it's fine to take the canoe and you don't have to try and walk across the river, because it's quite wide, and most of the time it's not very deep. It is what you can, if it's guaranteed to be low, you can walk across it just about, but the problem is that upriver, I believe there's a hydroelectric station, and obviously whenever they need more demand for power, they need to run more water through, or more generators or whatever, so they basically open the sluice gates, and the water level in the river can suddenly rise a good couple of feet in like moments. So you obviously don't want to be in the middle of the river when that happens, because it kind of happens without warning. hence the canoe. So we'll be getting there shortly, just after they start the shuttle service at 9. We'll paddle our way across to the town of Karatunk, and then we're not sure what we're doing. We're either gonna just push on, or we might just hang around there for a little bit to get some food, cold soda or something like that. See how we feel once we're done paddling. But anyway, right, I'm gonna enjoy the rest of this little green tunnel walk, and I'll show you some scenes from that river crossing. Like your new hat to keep you warm?
Don't look at me.
I said she looks like Parappa the Rapper, but she doesn't get that reference, so I'll put a picture up just next to you here. So yeah, we made it to Bald Mountain Brook Shelter. So we've done about 19 miles today from Pierce Pond Shelter. We're actually just camping, so Corrick's got a tent here, mine's set up here. There's a bit of a bigger group around us earlier when we were crossing the Kennebec and stuff, so there's probably going to be a lot of people at the shelter and stuff, and we want to try and get going early, so I don't want to really disturb anyone. Plus, also, they might disturb me because I think they were going to go and get beers or something earlier, so yeah. I didn't fancy being around that. It might be fine, but you know what I mean, just as a precaution. So, yeah, Operation Get to Shores Hostel, 60 miles away in 3 days, is moving ahead as planned. So tomorrow we've got about 20 again to get to the hostel. So, and then we have a day off the day after. So that'll be our last zero before we summit Katahdin. So yeah, one last big push, and then we can relax for a little bit. All right, I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Morning, everyone. We're just about 5 miles into our day. We left the campsite this morning. It'd been raining all night. Still kind of raining in the morning, so everything is just nice and wet. But we're heading to the hostel to take a zero tomorrow, so it's not the worst thing in the world, because you can dry everything out today. So get down here. There we go. So we've got a few options today. We've got to do the 20 miles, but there is the option of walking on a dirt road that kind of goes parallel to the trail. So the trail kind of runs along a creek and crosses a whole load of other brooks and streams, of which a number of them in the far out comments, because of all the rain, people have said is like thigh and waist deep in some places. And if that is the case, frankly, I'm not too interested in fording waist deep rivers. Like we went across the Kennebec the other day, yesterday, yeah, and they obviously had the canoe to get you across because it's so wide. But these other ones are smaller You could ford them in normally, but if it is like waist deep and fast moving, it doesn't matter if it's not that wide. It's doesn't take much to sweep you over and get you into trouble. So if that is the case, we could potentially cross the stream and get onto a dirt logging road which runs parallel to the trail, which does not continuously go in and out of rivers. I think there's still some crossings, but they should be easier to ford at least, and just be a bit safer. So we'll see how the water levels are when we get to them, and then sort of, I guess, make a decision from there. So anyway, let's see how we get on. And this is the sort of thing we wanted to avoid ideally. So I've just come across, it was just about shin deep for me, but there's no, yeah, there is a log there that's causing those rapids, but it's unbelievably slippy, especially underwater, so you just fall over. And those rapids are very uneven underfoot. I had a look in there, but it's so slippy and the water's moving so fast, it's just easier to go on the other side. So presumably in lower water, like the rocks that are along that the rocks that are along that log would be above water, so you could rock hop this, but no. And this isn't even one of the bad ones that people mention, so
This is not that cold.
it's not that cold, no, weirdly.
It is like an initial shock to your system.
Yeah, so that was one that people said wasn't that bad. So I think oh god, my feet are so wet. My shoes are slightly cleaner, so that's
I can't
something.
believe I went up to my knees.
I know. So
Too short.
I think the road, we're gonna do the road.
I think so.
If people said that one was like not that bad, and people said other ones were waist deep, I don't really fancy that.
Drown.
Yeah, I don't really fancy drowning this close to the end. So right, we've got 3 miles to go then till we can get to that road. Right. I'm just gonna see if my feet dry off before then. All right, catch you in a bit. All right, so we're on the little logging road. So if you can, you probably can't see down there. You see little glimpses through the trees. The trail is just down there, going along the river, which looks quite tumultuous at the moment. So I think we probably made the right choice. The only sketchy bit, I should have filmed it really, taken a picture, but I was just too focused on getting through it. But there was part of the logging road, the bridge across one of the brooks had been washed away in possibly one of the storms from last year, like with the incredibly wet season the hikers had last time, or maybe earlier this year, I'm not sure. But at some point anyway, the road that we were going to follow got washed out, so had a bit of a sketchy, well, we had two options: either backtrack like 1.5 miles, or just try and figure it out. So we managed to scramble down the loose gravel and rock road, or where the road sort of just ended, find a little bit along the brook where we could rock hop over, and then bushwhack our way back up to the logging road. So it's been quite the adventure, but the rest of it has been pretty smooth sailing. I think, in fact, the little detours and stuff, this logging road's going to end up adding more miles to the day, potentially, but we'll see. At least we can maintain a better pace and not drown, so that's always good. Anyway, let's just keep going, we'll get there eventually. Alright, good afternoon. You witnessed the scene of full hiker trash and hiker explosion.
Don't look at my stuff.
Got all my cans of Arizona iced tea and sodas, and and all our gears exploded everywhere, and everything's all out on charge. So yeah, we basically got into, I guess just summarize the last few days or so. We got into shores yesterday, after doing our 22 whatever mile day it was, and yeah, managed to get pretty much everything, or most of our chores done yesterday. So we did like all our laundry. I put my tent out to dry. What else do we do? I don't know, we got a bunch of little admin things done, and then basically just gave us all of today to relax. So today's obviously, well, yesterday we did the walk, today is our 0 day. So we've spent most of the day just chilling. We did a bit of a resupply, made sure we've got all that together, because the next section is the 100-mile wilderness, which is, well, the name is fairly self-explanatory. It's basically 100 miles of trail where there are no towns. I think the only roads are like logging roads, like they're not really like publicly accessible routes, or there's not really any like through traffic. So it's basically just 100 miles where you're basically on your own, effectively. I think there are some, I mean, like Shores, this hostel, and I think another one in Millinocket do like a service where they'll drive out like a food drop to you and leave it in the middle of the woods, like along one of the logging roads. But we've packed out 6 days of food instead to do it all in one push. So basically our plan is to get out of here tomorrow and try and push through the 100 miles in 6 days, which would get us to basically potentially summit any
on
day.
The seventh day.
On the seventh day, they summited Katahdin. Would basically mean a summit of the 28th of August. But we've been planning to like basically summit no later than like the 30th. But we kind of thought if we get there a little earlier, then that gives us gives us like 3-day window in case, to allow the weather to do whatever it does. So, because if we get there on the 28th, if we got there with the 28th, it's like a hard deadline and it's like thunderstorms or something, then we've got a few days to wait out if we need to try and get better weather. So yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes, I guess, when we get there. But yeah, it's kind of weird buying our like final resupply on our final 0 day, final hostel stay and stuff. It's a bit bittersweet. It's kind of exciting though with everyone. There's quite a lot of people here, but it's quite exciting with everyone else, because other people have been here a few days, and like everyone's kind of, at least the northbounders anyway, are all kind of approaching the end of their trip now. So everyone's kind of talking about what they're going to do next and when they're due to finish, and I don't really know what we're doing next. So yeah, it's kind of, some people are like really excited to be finished and done and want to get back home and kind of done with the whole thing. I'm more in the camp of like, now what? Like, this has been my life for the last 6 months. It's just easy to, get up, put your tent away, walk some distance, eat, put tent up, sleep, repeat for 6 months. And now I've got to face the reality of going back to the real world. So I'm sure there'll be, I'll have plenty of time to think about it in the wilderness with no distractions. And
not if we keep hiking to Canada.
Or we just keep hiking to Canada, or
turn around and go back to
turn around,
Georgia.
yo-yo, and go back to Georgia. Yeah. Maybe I'll just start planning for the PCT I did buy, actually.
Got the shirt for it.
I did buy the shirt, yeah. So the hostel here, they also have an Outfitters. And they sell shirts by a company called Jolly Gear. So all the true thru hikers wear them. All the professionals wear these shirts. They're just like, well, it's a joke, because with one of the first hikers we bumped into was like back in Georgia, had like the like tiny chicken leg shorts, like the 3-inch inseam, and the Jolly Gear shirt like with the fancy pattern. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm actually a professional thru hiker." I'm like, okay. So that's our little joke about it. But it's like a little it's like a sun shirt, like a button-up shirt that's like UV resistant fabric, super lightweight, has a hood, and it's like basically built by or designed by thru hiker for thru hikers. So I'm gonna I need a good trail to wear that on. So maybe the PCT will be calling and do that next. So yeah, anyway, I don't really know what we're doing. Anyway, I know what I'm doing for the rest of the evening, which is taking a nap, editing. Maybe we'll play another game of Scrabble.
Yeah, I need to redeem myself.
Yeah, I was winning for so long on that first game this morning, and then I couldn't think of any single words with like the letters Y, H, N, X, Z or whatever, so I had to skip a turn. Then QE won. Oh, we caught up with Cutie. We did Operation Catch Up with Cutie was a success. All it took was him getting off trail for like 5 days, and then we caught up. So we're going to hike out with him tomorrow, which will be fun. Yeah, I guess, I don't know, there's a lot of emotions going on just because of the end is very much in sight now, so.
What were you saying to me the other day?
What?
About like realizing that this trail that you've set out, that you know had a specific distance, you're now like, what do you mean this is coming to an end? This like that realization that like you've been walking for so long, and the end goal has always been there, but
now it's actually here. Yeah, that's
it's very
weird.
real.
Yeah. Oh well. Anyway, I've waffled long enough. I'm gonna get on with my editing, and I guess the next thing you'll see will be the 100-mile wilderness, so that'll be exciting. So, all right, I'll catch you on the next one.